everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I got a strange but beautiful little book called DCXXXL. This is from Michael Olivo, printed by Cold Q Press, and it collects what was apparently a 4-issue run of DCXXXL. I can't tell you what this book is about. I really don't know, and I don't think the author knows either because there's an essay in the back that suggests as much. But it's ostensibly about the murder in Iraq, which is what this says here, but it's very difficult to read. These intro pages are really wonderfully designed, just visually, but the intelligibility of them all is pretty difficult. And then each issue opens up with a fairly abstract set of splash pages that deal with poetics of form, just shapes moving around and shifting. But again, I don't know what to make of them. Then you get into where you have the characters, and I really like the art quite a bit. There's a number of artists that it makes me think about. I'm not going to go through them all, but Tommy Musteri comes to mind with the clean line. Something about it looks like the Baptiste Villerot. Something about it reminds me of Everett Glenn a little bit, and a bunch of other artists. Yokoyama Uichi in places. But it's a very abstract style in many places. You do have these characters, which are quite obvious, but the characters are always just like dancing around strangely. That's where the Baptiste Villerot seems appropriate to me. These strange dancing figures. There's a bit of Hergé in there. A lot of different influences coming together, along with just a strong sense of composition and design. So the book's a real treat for the eyes, but the story doesn't make any sense to me. There's some murder. This guy blows a whistle to bring a whole precinct down, and they all just start shooting the ground. And I don't know, this whole big mystery. I don't know what to make of it. I really honestly don't. But you get these scenes like this where the art's just stunning. All throughout, I get a sense that this would make even more sense. Like a page like this where there's just bodies exploding all over the place looks great. But I think in color, it would be even cooler. That would just give some more like legibility to the whole project. And just there, I'll show you some color pages in the back. The way that Olivo uses the risograph to colorize the lines, I think looks a lot better with this type of art. Also makes me think of Liam Cobb's, his Michelin Man stuff. So there's a lot of precedence for this. But again, looking at here's issue 3. And you see this whole strange shape here is the 3, and it's easy to miss those things. And the lettering says freak sunk. I don't know. It's hard to read that. And then you get again this poetics of forms with these opening pages. I think these are really quite fantastic. I don't know that I'd want a whole book of just this stuff unless it was more sequential. But the way that it becomes part of the story is very interesting to me. And just the design of everything, like this panels here, I barely could tell what's going on, but here I could tell what's going on. And then you get like this cop car abstracted out here. There's really a lot to be grappled with in this book, and because it looks so nice, I think the grappling is really worth it. As you get into, and this is contained in the essay in the back as well, which I actually did. Normally I don't read the essays because I want work to speak for itself, but I was so confused about this book. I wanted to see what the artist had to say. And I noticed as I was reading that, okay, this is being drawn on a computer. There's these computer spray tones, which mimic the look of the risograph. I don't know. This book was probably risograph because there's these color in the back. But it mimics that texture, but I don't know that I like it used just on black on its own. I'd rather see that done with like a toothbrush. It's not randomized and variable enough, so it feels artificial to me. Certain people use this to real good effect. It looks better here, but some pages I don't like it on. Really like this panel here, this design. But again, I don't know what any of this adds up to. But just some really stellar designs throughout. And in issue 4, you get even more like computer collage. So it starts out just very hand-drawn, and then obviously moving to a computer as it kicks in. At this point, they've gone into some kind of erotic cube thing. Starting to get some Inio Asano with these digital vibes here, where there's like the density of the work gets increased because of what the digital vibes allow. Getting into pages like this, it reminds me of Austin English's work like the abstractions in this panel especially. And then just the designs, these really strange abstract designs are super compelling to me. And these big spreads here when they're in this erotic cube. There's also places, this shows throughout the book, where there's lettering and stuff that happens in the gutters, over here in the margins. So I think that's an interesting strategy. But just this composition here is totally bananas, like super abstract. But then the more time you spend with it, like everything resolves. There's these characters running through this big crazy space. It reminds me a lot of like Juan Miro, I guess, as an artist, and also Roberto Mata Clark. Roberto Mata, no, his son was Roberto Mata Smith. So Roberto Mata, this makes me think a lot of his paintings. That abstraction, like mostly non-representational abstractions, but they really seem to have a sense of deep space to them. I find that very compelling and strange as well. And just it opens up a lot of like style options, I guess, just looking through the book. So to me, it's a purely visual book. And then as you get to the end of it, you get this little essay here, and the artist basically says, I'll just read the opening part. I won't go into it because you should get the book if you're interested in it. But as is true of much of my work, when I read it anew, I feel pulled along a path I can't fully comprehend, but nonetheless appreciate. This book ultimately seems to grapple with struggle of an impending clash between agents of order and chaos. So I wouldn't have got that second sentence out of the book, but I was very comforted to find out that even the artist is like, I can't fully comprehend what I was up to. So that suggests to me that there was a general idea, but a lot of it was made up on the spot, which I get is very exciting for the artist, and probably went back and learned a lot about himself, it seems like, from this essay. But I don't know that you could expect that of the viewer, which is fair, like that, that's a fine reason. And we've talked about this a lot with the AI, that I think the benefit to the maker is going to become more and more and more an important part of art. So that's cool. But when you put it out there too, you're engaged with an audience, and I don't know what an audience could get out of this other than just enjoying the visuals and maybe pulling their own, using it like tarot cards and just kind of pulling your own ideas out of it. But it doesn't seem to have a clear intent in the story from the author, although the essay in the back is pretty specific. Then we get this piece that was supposedly done earlier, but which is tangentially or thematically related. And this shows all that same style, but then with the color, the two-color risograph in place. And I just like the way this looks quite a bit better. And then you get the cover gallery for the original 4-issue run. And you can see also the two-color risograph prints here. And that helps really separate the images out a bit. I think this is an artist. This is beautiful. That's gorgeous. I really quite like him as a designer, just a like shape and form, even better than as a comic artist, or like this right here. So the development, especially moving into the computer stuff and these more collage design effects, are really compelling to me. And I really hope we see Michael Olivio move more towards that. Can a comic be made using this look that has more of an intense communicative effect to it? I don't know, maybe not, maybe just design, but something about the color and the design and the dealing with the digital seems to have like cracked open the possibilities for Michael Olivio. Like even this is a photograph that's obviously just had a half-toning process run on it that makes it look like an engraving. So there's a lot of like play there that really interests me, and combined with the power of the design, I don't really care if this is someone who's telling sensible stories or not. So I'm keeping an eye out. Hopefully Michael Olivio keeps going and we can see some more work from this artist, because it's a very strange book, but I find it compelling. So I don't know, with this one it's hard to give a recommendation, because it's like, if you can get into it just for the visuals, cool, go get it. Like if you're into just the compelling art of it all, and the possibilities that I think it's opening up for visuals, like that's great. If you're into it for a sensible story, then this one's not for you. So just, this is the kind of thing that if it's for you, definitely go grab it. If it doesn't look like it's for you, then definitely stay away from it, because you'll probably wind up hating it. So really cool book in my opinion, though. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, there's 2 ways to support us. One is through our Patreon. We really appreciate that. We use the money from that to help buy the books, try and put that money back into the comics community. And then the best thing to do to support the mission of Living the Line is purchase books that Sean's putting out from Living the Line Publishing. So we'll take a look at some of those options now. The Exile by Eric Creek is a gorgeously illustrated Viking saga of revenge. Eric Creek calls it his Viking Western. It's about a guy who's been away on the warpath and is returning home to some family troubles that have to be resolved. And this is told in just this amazing, like, kind of 3-color art style that looks like old woodblock cuts or something. It's absolutely gorgeous book that you've got to pick up. The Abolition of Man, issue 1, the very first comic to be entirely illustrated by an AI. This is a book that I made in collaboration with the Midjourney Artificial Intelligence art maker. What I did is I fed in C.S. Lewis's famous essay for this first issue, his famous essay, The Abolition of Man, one sentence at a time, and combined the words with the pictures that got produced. And that's what this book is. It's part 1 of a 5-issue miniseries. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button